I have to say something.
Just ignore it.
Those pipes sure are loud.
If those were pipes, the house is about to explode.
Set me free, why don't you, babe? Get out my life, why don't you, babe? 'Cause you don't really love me. You just keep me hanging on.
Get a haunted house with my parents!
Hi, my name is John, and welcome back to my station, Good Burger Reviews, and I'm here to do a brand new 2025 movie review called The Parenting.
You're gonna have a whole parent meet and greet up there.
We made our own circle, bitch! Sorry, I don't like that word. That's not me.
The Parenting is streaming on Max. The director is Craig Johnson. It stars Nick Dodani as Rohan, and his boyfriend Josh is played by Brandon Flynn. Rohan's parents are starring Brian Cox as Frank and Eddie Falco as Sharon. And then Josh's parents have Lisa Kudrow playing Liddy and Dean Norris playing Cliff. And then there's two other stars in this movie. Parker Posey plays the property manager / the witch. And Vivian Bang plays Sarah / the hag. So I've had this theory that about movies that's kind of been reoccurring. It started to develop in my head in last year, but it really has kind of played a full front in the movies that were released so far in 2025. And that is, these movies are taking great stories and great old movies and meshing them up. For example, we had Hard Eyes just recently. It was a slasher mixed up with a romantic comedy. And last year we had Abigail, which was a combination of heist kidnapping movie meets vampires. A good classic example of this one is The Exorcism of Emily Rose, a courtroom drama blended with an exorcism. So this movie was definitely a blend of two movies. I would say Meet the Parents meets The Craft. So the basic storyline is Josh and Rohan are boyfriends, and they are going away for the weekend, and it's a Meet the Parents scenario, and they're at this getaway big house out in the rural area somewhere. It doesn't really specify where. It doesn't even matter as much. And both sets or parents are coming, and everyone's meeting for the first time. So you have that whole Meet the Parents vibe going on with this movie. Mixed with the fact that when they get to the house, it's a haunted house, and it's weird things start happening. And it's a comedy. So it's a horror comedy mix blend mesh up movie. And honestly, this one's done right. So let's get into this. So Josh plays the boyfriend that is a little bit more from the upper class family, or the the uppity up family. His parents are an architect and a psychologist, and that's Rohan. And then Josh's family is more of the middle class construction worker versus like teacher mom. And when you have that type of blend, it's funny to see the dynamic in people, how they change, because it's very apparent that these boyfriends are together, they're happy, they're just a very, very cute young couple, and they but as soon as they arrive and all the parents are arrived, everyone's kind of they're acting differently a little bit. It's this whole awkwardness because one set of parents expects things kind of to be a certain way, and they're trying to impress Rohan's parents, and Rohan doesn't want Josh to admit that he was fired from his job. And then Josh is like, oh, my parents kind of seem like a step down from this. My mom's wearing a sweater with taxis. Lisa Kudrow. First of all, Lisa Kudrow is so funny. I love her.
How could you do that?
Another country heard from.
I gotta go. Honey, maybe you should wait downstairs.
Why? Are they gonna throw me off the balcony too?
You're upset, and you're upsetting me.
Well, of course I'm upset. My
I loved her. I think she was in Meet the Parents. I remember her being in that, I think, and she definitely was in Analyze This with Robert De Niro as well. So like, she's so funny, and she was in Friends, and she was, you know, and I just haven't seen her in a while. I remember her also in Romeo and Michelle's high school reunion. Just a very comedic actress, and she had a different flavor then, and now that she's middle-aged, she's still funny in that same way, but it comes off in a different way. And now that we're, you know, in these age brackets, and I hope Lisa Kudrow keeps coming back for comedy, especially horror comedy. I don't think she's ever done a horror comedy. So I think this is Lisa Kudrow's first step at a horror comedy. But, I just thought she was hilarious. The way she names the dogs. They brought dogs. Of course, the other mom doesn't like the dogs. And it's just reminds me of scenarios that have gone on in my life. It's just so funny the way the parents are, the way the parents interact. And kudos to this movie for having the protagonist be a gay couple, and that plays a role into everything as well. And then their little friend Sarah, who shows up and gets all involved in everything, and she's like the typical hag. The movie it does a blend of comedy and horror really well. I honestly don't know, why did this movie come straight to Max? Why isn't this in the theater? I mean, Borderline just came out, you know, advertised as a horror comedy, and I didn't laugh at that at all. Hardly at all. That wasn't funny. It wasn't scary, and it wasn't funny. And this movie, it had some tension, but it leaned more into the comedy side of things. But the tension was schlocky and fun. It wasn't, this movie knew what it was, and it wasn't taking itself 100% serious, and I was there for every second of it. It starts off, so, you know, there's a prologue, and it starts off in the 1980s. The first thing you see is 1983. I'm like, oh, here we go, throwback, 1980s. And there's the whole thing starts in this house in the 1980s involving a couple of young kids who we learn later on conjure up a demon named Andras or whatever. Flash forward to the future. The boys arrive, their parents arrive, but this realtor, or not a realtor, property manager is there, and she's kind of quirky. Parker Posey. Parker Posey is, I as soon as I saw her, I said, oh yeah, I know where we're going with this one. And she's so quirky, and she's, you know, shows them the place, and she's walking around with a stick in a circle. Mind you not, of course, you know, I didn't know what that was at first, where that was going, but I should have, honestly. I've seen so many witch movies, The Craft, Practical Magic, etc., and stuff like that. But this, come to find out, you know, the first night that they're all staying there, after they have their meet the parents scene with dinner, then it turns into the haunted house. There's bumps in the night, things going on, and, you know, they're secluded away. It started snowing, so now we know, whatever's going to happen, they're not going to be able to escape because snow's come down and they're deep into the rural area somewhere. Let me just say now, this is going to be spoilers. So I'll just say briefly, if you haven't seen this yet or haven't heard about it yet, isn't on your radar yet, before you watch any more of this video, go watch this one on Max. If you have a Max subscription, watch it. If you don't have use the free trial or just get Max. This movie is worth it. It's really good. So there's no Wi-Fi in this place, and Brian Cox's character Frank is trying to, I guess, get onto his laptop or something, and he's ends up, after all these noises in the night, he ends up saying the Wi-Fi password out loud, which was a trick. The trick was the Wi-Fi was in Latin, and it was, when you say the Wi-Fi password out loud, you're summoning this demon into you. So he, without knowing it, calls on to this demon Andres and welcomes him into his body. So the next morning, Frank is weird. He's different. They're all getting up for breakfast. It was already an awkward encounter, and now he's acting strange. He's pale, and he says crazy things to Rohan's boyfriend, and I think he actually slits him with a knife at the breakfast table. Yeah. You know, Rohan is trying to propose to Josh, and the friend Sarah is supposed to be dog sitting, but they brought the dog along. So she ends up coming along because she ruins the surprise of the engagement by texting Josh accidentally about the proposal. And now she shows up because she's trying to, save the scenario, and she's there. And then you have the two moms, and there's definitely a clash between the two moms, like this competition between the two moms and the two sons. And then, the dads I thought could have been a little bit more competitive with each other, a little bit more funny, but the dads were good in their own way, because mostly before Frank and Cliff can really have any interaction, Frank's possessed by this Andres. So also the young kids that are in the front end of this movie that had summoned the demon, they're still in the house too as ghosts. So there's little ghost scenes with them popping in and out, and I thought it was done pretty good. It's just typical schlocky ghosts in the darkness stuff. Not too gory. I mean, there was a few goryish moments, maybe a little bit more. I guess as far as the gore is concerned, there's a little bit of gore, like the one dog gets possessed, and that's comical. Actually, I think two of the dogs get the demon in it, but the dogs being with the possession, they're funny, especially the little one, the little I don't know, the little brown dog gets the little eyes go red and it barks funny, and it's. And then at some point they realize that they're trying to call the police now because Frank has attacked Josh, and he's spewing up noodles all over the place, and he's just not himself clearly. And it takes his wife a moment to realize, like, this ain't really him. Something's going on. At first they thought he was sick, and then they realized, as they start seeing more ghosts in the house, of the young kids from the opening scene are popping up here and there, and they're starting to realize, wait a second, this isn't about being sick and being stranded. We're dealing with ghosts. So, then that's when they're trying to escape. So they're trying to call the police, of course, just like any typical horror movie. It's, they can't get out. They can't get a hold of anyone. They can't. Then they notice that they can see a light off in the distance at nighttime, and they go, and lo and behold, the little creepy property manager from the beginning, Parker Posey, was staying across the way. Well, here it turns out she's the one pulling all the strings on this. She's the witch that summoned up Andres. And her and the young kids from the opening scene had been friends, and they had summoned up the witch when they were young, and the house possessed them and took the other young girls' whole family, and they've been in this house dormant for, 40 years. Now, they're trying to figure out, well, how are we going to fix this? Frank's Rohan's dad, and he's possessed with a demon, and she's trying to lure him out of the circle of the house so he can permanently roam the earth in a body. So I'm not going to get into the exactly how it ends. All I'm going to say is this movie blends the comedy and horror very well. It really is engaging. I never was checking my watch or looking to my phone. I paid attention the whole time. It really is. I'm gonna give this one a good burger. I mean, on the high end of a good burger. I mean, it has its flaws. I mean, it's there's nothing totally new about this movie in everything that was done. Obviously, it's been done before in some movie or another. It pulled from a lot of movies. What I liked about this is how it blended. That Meet the Parents craft blend. And here's two movies that you would never think to blend. Meet the Parents and The Craft? Well, how are those going to work together? But in this movie, it works together. If this movie had one flaw, I would say there's just an exposition dump at the end of the second act or the beginning of the third act that kind of comes from the Parker Posey's character, the property manager / witch, which I didn't hate. I guess they needed to kind of explain how this all came about, but I'd like to add that every character in this movie has done a great job in their role, whatever it was, the bigger roles, the smaller roles. I liked every character here. They all made me laugh at some point. Watch it on Max. Thanks for coming. Please like and subscribe to the video. Let me know what you think some good horror comedies are in the comments, and if you do go ahead and see this, let me know what you think of it. I'll be back doing more reviews as the month passes on, and thanks for joining me.